So this is now video 3. I'm starting on question 26 on the review. So here they're asking us to find the length of a side, and since we're talking about similarity, they have to be proportional. So this side, I'm going to name x, corresponds to 4, and the other side of 32 corresponds to 8. I didn't use the bottom side because there's no information here, and which would make it difficult to find the length of the side of the leg that I'm finding. So ignore the 7. 7s are to trick you. I can reduce this fraction because it's rather large. I can reduce by 8. So if I do that, I'll get 4 over 1. And if you cross multiply, you should get 16 because x times 1 is x and 4 times 4 is 16. So my answer is 16. For this question, we need to find the missing length indicated. So this was actually referring to the geometric mean. So if you remember, this is where you're writing your proportion. So the value that's being shared is the value that goes twice. The other two values you write wherever you want them. Cross multiply and solve for x. So I'm going to get x squared is equal to 16 times 9, which is 144. And when you take the square root of 144, you do get plus or minus 12. But geometric mean tells us that we only use the positive value. So that means that x has to equal 12. On this question, they're asking us to find the missing side. This is a right triangle. So you're using Pythagorean theorem. So your C value has to be the hypotenuse, which is our x. So I can leave it as x or I can leave it as C, doesn't matter. So I'm going to let my smaller number equal A, A be my B, and x has to be my C value. So this is 36 plus 64 is equal to x squared. 36 plus 64 is 100. And when you take the square root of 100, what do you get? You get 10. So my answer is 10. So Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. This one's asking us to find the trig ratio of cosine of angle A. So cosine is ca, which is adjacent over hypotenuse. Some of you guys are still struggling naming your sides. So O for opposite, H for hypotenuse, A for adjacent. So because it's talking about angle A, I'm going to label the opposite side O. The hypotenuse has to be H, which means the last side will be A. So cosine of angle A is equal to A divided by H. My A is equal to 30, so I'm going to write 30. And my H is equal to 50. They're going to expect you to reduce your fraction. So I can reduce 30 and 50 by 10, which will give me 3/5. So this one is just reduced. Now they're asking me to find the ratio of sine. So sine is the so part. So sine of angle Z is equal to O divided by H. Well, based on angle angle Z, not O, Z, I'm going to find O for opposite. So that's 40. The hypotenuse, H, and 30 has to be your A. The other thing is, if you outline angle Z with these two segments, the side that you don't touch is always his opposite. Then if you want to find your hypotenuse, your hypotenuse is formed by this side and this side. Which side does not touch the hypotenuse? This side, so that's your H. So it's always the opposite. You can outline the sides if you get confused. So now I'm going to write my proportion. It's O divided by H. O is 40, and my H is 50. I could divide 40 and 50 by 10, so I can reduce this to 4/5. So on your final, the reduced form will be there. Question 32 is asking us for tangent of angle A. tangent is TOA. So tangent of angle A is equal to O over A. Well, I got to name this. So angle A is where I'm starting. Opposite is 27. Hypotenuse is 45. And the adjacent side would be the last one. So O divided by A. O is 27 and A is 36. I can reduce 27 and 36 by 9, and I'll get 3/4. So reduce by 9. Question 33, you need a calculator. This one's asking you to find the measure of the indicated angle, which means you're going to have to use one of the inverse functions. Whenever you're asked to find the measurement of an angle, you have to use the inverse functions for trig. So I'm going to name the angle in question x so it's easier for me. So I'm going to name my sides opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent. The only values I know are the hypotenuse and the adjacent value. So am I going to use sine, cosine, or tangent? Well, I know the a value and the h. Who uses a and h? A, h. Do they use a and h? No. Do they use a and h? Yes. Does tangent? No. So that means I'm going to use cosine. So cosine of the angle in question is equal to the a value, which is 14, divided by the h, which is 23. Well, I need to solve for x, which means I need to get rid of cosine. I can't divide him, but I can multiply by the inverse of cosine. So now I have cosine inverse from both sides. The cosine inverse and the cosine cancel out. So now on your calculator, you would type in cosine inverse of 14 over 23. So once you type this into your calculator, cosine inverse of 14 over 23, you should get 52.5 degrees. Question 34 is asking you to find the missing side. So you can't use Pythagorean theorem because you don't know the bottom leg and you don't know the left side leg. So when you're missing more than one side, you have to use trig. So are you going to use sine? Are you going to use cosine? What are you going to use? So katoa. So we have to determine which one we're going to use. So I only know the measurement of angle 63, so his opposite side I don't know anything about. The hypotenuse measures 10, and the adjacent side is x. So I know my a value and my h. So who uses a and h? Does sine? No. Does tangent? No. A, h. So that means I'm going to use cosine. Well, I do know what the angle measures. The angle measures 63 degrees. Equals a divided by h. A is x, h is 10. So here, x is being divided by 10, so I can multiply both sides of my equation by 10. And now I'm going to get x equals 10 times cosine of 63 degrees. Type it into the calculator and check what you get. And you get 4.54 rounded. So that would be the measurement of your side. Question 35 is similar to question 34. So you have to determine if you're going to use sine, cosine, or tangent. So, oh no, I lied. This isn't even, you don't have to use sine, cosine, tangent. You can, or because this is a 45, 45, 90, you don't have to use trig. So I'm going to use a 45, 45, 90 shortcut. So 45, 45, 90. I just noticed this is a 45 degree angle. So question 35 is going to have a 45 degree angle. So I don't know the measurement of the 45 degree angle except that it's x. The other 45 will also be x, or in this case y, but these two are actually the same because this is an isosceles triangle. The legs are congruent. The value that I do know is the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse measures 4. which means that if you remember, it goes x squared root of 2. So since they gave me the value of the hypotenuse, I'm going to take the value of the hypotenuse and set them equal to the length that they gave us, which is 4. I'm going to solve for x by dividing both sides by square root of 2. And when you do this, you're going to get 2 square root of 2. Double check this by typing into the calculator. But you can't divide by a square root of 2, so you're going to multiply top and bottom by square root of 2. You end up getting 4 square root of 2 on top. And on the bottom, you get square root of 4, but that simplifies to 2. And then this 4 and this 2, you can reduce by 2. So that's how you get the 2 square root of 2. So it doesn't cancel out, but it reduces to 2. So that's how I got that. So that means that if this side is 2 square root of 2, so is the bottom. The legs of a 45, 45, 90 triangle are congruent. Okay, this is video 3. I'm going to start question 36 on video 4. Okay, guys, now I'm doing the last video, video 4. This one starts on question 36, so we're almost done, but I had to cut the other video because of YouTube's regulations. So 36 is asking us for the missing side. Notice this is a 60-degree angle. I don't have to use trig. I can use the 30, 60, 90 rule. So 30, 60, 90. This one goes x square root of 3, 2x. So we have to determine which side they're giving us. And if you notice, they give us a side that belongs to the hypotenuse. So this is equal to 7. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2 to get x. And 7 halves is the same as 3.5. So that means that the 30-degree angle that belongs to the x is going to equal 3.5. And the y value, I believe, that belongs to the 60-degree angle. Oops, I changed it. This is y based on the triangle. And the 60 is x. He's just going to be x times square root of 3. So x is 3.5 square root of 3. So that would be your answer. So the hypotenuse is 7. The 30-degree angle corresponding side, which is labeled y, is 3.5. On the 60-degree corresponding side, which is labeled x, is 3.5 square root of 3. 37, they're asking us to find the area of a trapezoid. The formula for the area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times the sum of base 1 plus base 2 times the height. Base 1, base 2, height. So don't forget the bases are your parallel sides. So 1/2 times base 1 plus base 2 times h. So type that into your calculator, check what you get. And you'll get 23.6, 23 and 6/10 kilometers squared because this is area. Okay, question 38 is asking to find the area. This is the one where you're going to use 1/2 times a little b sine of angle C. But all it is that your sides, you're going to multiply with the half. And then if you remember, it's sine of the angle given. The angle given is 145. So now I'm just going to type this into my calculator and see what it gives me. And if I type this in correctly, I should be getting 1.72 kilometers squared. If you guys have a scientific calculator, type that in and make sure, because I'm using the calculator online. So double check if you have a calculator. 39 is asking us to find the surface area. So I couldn't find a question just like the one on the final. The one on the final gives you a cube, so I'm going to make all of the sides measure the same. And so the formula for surface area of a cube, when we were going over the review, I think I gave you guys the wrong formula when people were getting those extra credit points to give me the correct formula. So because a cube is 6-sided, it was actually 6 times s squared. S represented side. I think we only wrote s squared. So make sure in your study sheet that you get to use on your final, you include 6x squared for a cube. Sorry for this mistake. Why 6? Because it's a 6-sided shape. So if you find the area of one square, you have 6. 1, 2, 3. The bottom one is 4. The right side is 5. And the back is 6. So it's a 6-sided cube. 2 sides, front and back, and top and bottom. So we're going to just say that all the sides measure the same, because on your final, they're all going to be the measurement. It's not going to be 8, but they're all going to be the same. So side squared is 8 squared, because that's what your side measures. 8 squared is 64, and when you multiply 64 with 4, you get 384 centimeters squared. And I think someone from my 6th period, Yair, was the one that told me this, and I told him, oh yeah, you're right. So thanks, Yair, from 6th period. Surface area S, or just A, 384. So make sure you change it to 6S squared. You are having a cube on the final. Question number 40 is the last question. They're asking you to find the volume of this cylinder. So what's the formula for volume of a cylinder? So the formula for a cylinder is V equals pi radius squared times your height. So the radius is 5 and the height is 10. So I'm just going to substitute my values and solve. So radius is 5 times my height is 10. So this will be 250 pi in terms of pi, but I believe the answers don't have pi. So type that into your calculator. Will be approximately, because they're going to ask you to approximate, so just round. If you just use 3.14, not the pi symbol, you'll get 785 meters cubed, because this is volume. Alright guys, so I'm loading this up. If you watch this video, take notes, and follow along, you should be able to ace the final, whether you're taking it Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Alright guys, have a good day.